show is over. The show is over.
Hello and welcome to the HoopSmack edition of NBA Previews. I am C. Will, and with me we got Knowledge.
Hey, we're back, people. What's up? What's up?
We got Miles.
Hello.
We got Fong.
What's up?
We plan to preview each of the NBA teams for this upcoming season. And this season we're going to start with the Brooklyn Nets, who look like the Boston Celtics of last year. But Ben, I'm going to go to you. You know, they made that trade in the offseason. They brought in Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, Jason Terry. Do you think this team is a legitimate title contender?
3, 4, 5 years ago, I'd say hell yes. It's a little too late. KG's on his last leg. He's still effective, man. He's just really just not the same player he used to be. Same with Paul Pierce. And even, to me, those aren't even the best players on the team. I think Deron Williams, he really needs to get going. He got going in the second half last year. Chemistry is going to have a lot to do with it. Joe Johnson, to me, just never got going last year. He just never seemed comfortable. He's a legit third option, so maybe he'll be better this year where all the pressure's not on him as far as the scoring. Pierce can get his shot. You know, he can create his own shot. KG is just, even more than just rebounding in defense and, getting buckets here and there. He's there for, actually build the young guys, the Andre Blatches, the Brooks Lopez, get their confidence going. And he brings a toughness to the team, but it all comes down to they're just not as talented as the other teams in the East. They're not better than Miami. They're nowhere near Indiana, if you ask me. On paper, it looks good, but again, 3, 4, 5 years ago, I would have said, yeah, this team can possibly go to the title game. I do like the pickups. There's some pickups that a lot of people don't pay attention to. The Allen Anderson deal. That's a solid player coming off the bench. Same thing with AK-47. He played really well last year after being overseas for the year previously. So they still they're deeper than most people think, but it all comes down to, the meat of this team is just not where it should be as far as talent level. They're very, very experienced, but they're just not, as talented as the other teams in the East. So I don't think they're going to win a championship. I think they'll get to the playoffs and probably be out in the second round.
Yeah. Ben, you mentioned this team is very experienced, but Miles, I wanted to ask you about their new head coach, recently retired Jason Kidd. What do you think he's going to bring to this team? What elements is he going to bring to this veteran core?
I think that Jason Kidd is going to be an interesting addition to this team because all of the people on this team respect him a lot. A lot of them have played with him on the USA Olympic teams. But at the same time, there's a difference between being the coach on the floor and being the coach off the floor, as he will have to be. Of course, he has to sit a couple games because of his guilty plea for his DUI recently. But I think that in the regular season, you'll see him make some interesting choices. He'll mesh well with Deron Williams. They've meshed well before when they were in the Olympics in 2008. But I think Ben's right that this team experience can sometimes be overrated, and I think that this team specifically just doesn't have the top end that the Knicks or the Heat or the Pacers or the Bulls will have when Derrick Rose is back. So they'll kind of end up doing the same thing. They spend a lot of money, and Jason Kidd's gonna be a good personality manager. But I think that Lawrence Frank is really gonna be the person that's doing X's and O's, and that's not different from last year.
I agree. Yeah.
Do you, I guess anybody, or I'd really like to hear China's opinion on this, but do you think Jason Kidd will be able to, I guess, have Deron Williams help him take that next step to kind of regain his position back in the point guard elite?
I don't know, because it could just be physical issues.
Yeah.
I don't know if Deron Williams has actually lost a step or if he was just hurt the whole season and tried to play through it. I don't know if it's just physical, so I don't know how Jason Kidd's going to help unless he's going to manage his minutes. But I think Deron Williams is kind of pissed, and I think Kid will give him freedom to do whatever he wants, open it up more. I think Deron Williams is ready to step back into the discussion, but I think
he's pissed that he's not in the discussion right now.
Yeah, he has to be. I mean, well, even though I totally disagreed with this, but they said he was a better point guard than Chris Paul for a little bit. And there's actual believers. I mean, for a little bit, and he was pretty dope, but I mean,
well, if you look at the splits
there's so many good point guards now.
Yeah, it's a bad matchup. Yeah.
In the second half of the year, which is exactly what you're getting at, Fong, is that in the first half of the year he was clearly not healthy. In the second half, he was healthy, and he was, an all-star caliber point guard in the second half of the year. And he's hurt again. He has some issues currently, and he's not going to play in the first couple games. But at the same time, with him, I don't think it's necessarily a mental thing. I think the issue is physical, and Jason Kidd can help him with the play calling and running, but the rest of the team is not an up-tempo style team. And
not at all.
That's not going to really play to his strengths.
I also think chemistry is going to play a huge role. I think honestly Deron Williams is better when he's kind of running the show and you kind of give him the freedom to just go nuts. But then you got to deal with these guys who they've been in the league and they're going to demand certain, certain shots and certain, places in the floor where they can do what they do. So it's going to be hard I think that's the challenge for Jason Kidd, is to actually try to have these guys buy into his system. I think he has surrounded himself with the coaches that he's familiar with and can kind of because I think he's still learning. I know he's been a coach on the floor, but it's a different thing than actually X's and O's. I think he's done a good job of surrounding himself with the coaches that he's kind of been around for the latter part of his career. But I think the challenge, because I don't know if you guys saw the report with him and KG already kind of not going at it, but they had a disagreement about monitoring his minutes and not playing back-to-backs. And KG was just like, well, I don't want to be told anything. So to me, it's not a red flag, but it's just one of those things where how does Jason Kidd handle that? Like, what is he? And the players are going to be watching it. If you say to Kevin Garnett, you're not playing in back-to-backs, and then he, has his little fit and he gets his way, players watch that and they see if you have control or if you don't have control of your team. It's not fair because I think usually a first-year coach like Brad Stevens, they actually have younger players that can kind of try to buy into their system. Jason Kidd is in a position where he's a first-year coach, he's a player's coach, but he has veterans on his team that demand respect and demand, they're seasoned, so they're not just going to come in and just kind of say, oh, well, this is how I've been doing it, so this is what I'm going to continue to do. So there's that challenge that he's going to have to face, whether it's fair or not.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting just to see how the players react.
Here's a measuring stick
Jason Kidd
for Jason Kidd's coaching ability is what's he going to do end of when the clock's running down? Do they give it to Paul Pierce and everyone clears out? If he does that, he's a terrible coach.
Yeah, I agree.
You can't.
I think he goes into the game himself and takes a shot.
You can't give Paul Pierce the ISO and let him just back him down basically and shoot that little 15-footer on the right block.
Right.
That's all Doc Rivers did, and it was the worst play ever. I hated it.
Well, that play's just going to go to Joe Johnson.
And will he be afraid to do something bold? Like if Pierce isn't cutting it, is starting AK at the 3 position, a better option?
Not starting AK.
Well, I'm saying but if it's an option, then
I don't think that's an option either, though.
You think Paul Pierce is that good right now in his career to where he's better than AK?
Yeah.
I disagree. You're looking at Paul Pierce from 5 years ago, man. Totally disagree. Paul Pierce he's a solid player, but he's not a superstar to me anymore. He's lost a couple steps. Mm-hmm. And if he's breaking down and he's not doing what he's supposed to do, shooting in the lower 30% like he did for a good part of the season, you're gonna have to sit your ass down, and we're gonna try something else. And that's what I need from J. Kidd. I don't need you to be the nice guy.
But do you think it's necessarily a matter of who's starting as opposed to who's finishing the game?
I think that's actually going to be something that Jason Kidd is going to do well. Is he's going to manage the personalities, and I think that these guys having experience are not going to care quite as much about who's starting and who's not, because they've all been there. They don't. I mean, how much did Ray Allen complain about not starting last year for the Heat? You know, like he's the one hitting the game-winning shot in Game 6. Like Paul Pierce and Andre Kirilenko and Joe Johnson, I think there's egos there, yes, but I don't think that they are unwilling to take a back seat. Paul Pierce has already done that. Kevin Garnett has already done that. Deron Williams has already done that. So I think that they'll be okay, but their top end is not the top end of the guys that are currently in their primes.
So Miles, how do you interpret what KG said? And it's quoted. He said, "I'm not going to be told anything. I think I've done enough in my career to kind of have a say-so." And you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying he's clearly in a disagreement with J. Kidd, but
that's Kevin Garnett's personality. He's been saying for 15 years. Right. He can say whatever he wants to say, but at the end of the day, the coach is going to make the decision.
But you think KG is ready to do that and not try to like make everybody happy and just say, okay, well maybe he's right? Because I think that's what he does need to do. But is he ready to do that?
Kevin Garnett does not have an off switch.
Yeah, I was going to say the day he says,
yeah,
okay, coach, is the day he needs to retire, because that means he doesn't have the passion for the game anymore.
Well,
that's how he's wired.
That's his attitude. That's his attitude, yes.
Yeah.
However, it's the coach's job to make him understand that he can't do that. And if he doesn't like it, he's going to fume on the bench. This dude punched teammates in the face multiple times.
Yeah, they were weak.
He's an intense guy. He's going to say intense stuff from time to time. That doesn't mean that that's exactly what's going to happen long term.
I got you.
So,
I'll punch Rick Richards in the face.
Yeah. I don't think that's if you pay attention to everything that Kevin Garnett says and take it as the exact thing that's going to happen, I think that you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah.
Before we get into the predictions part of the Brooklyn Nets preview, do you think the Deron Williams, Joe Johnson, Brook Lopez core they took anything away from losing to Chicago in last year's playoffs?
They weren't tough at all. Like I feel like any team can will their way and impose their will on Brooklyn last year. That's why I think the positives that from the big trade that happened was the toughness factor. I think KG is an upgrade, and he's gonna have to toughen up Blatch and Lopez is just a nice guy, man. Like he's really, really skilled for his size, but he's not nasty enough. He doesn't have a mean streak to him. So I think that helps in that capacity. That's the biggest thing I saw, though. They just weren't tough, and anybody can do what they wanted on Brooklyn.
I think. What did the rest of you guys think as far as, do you think they, not necessarily KG and Paul Pierce, but do you think that original core, they learned something and are going to bring that toughness this upcoming season?
I think that original core is who they are. And the loss against the Bulls last year may have proven not just to the actual players, but to management and to the ownership that they need to get tougher, and that's why they made the move that they made, bringing in Garnett and Pierce and Jason Terry and Andre Kirilenko, and then drafting Mason Plumlee. They getting rid of Chris Humphries. Getting rid of Gerald Wallace. Those are moves to increase toughness to try to better the team in the playoffs, and that's why they did it. I don't think it's specifically a splashy move, just throwing money around. That's why they did it, in my opinion.
That makes perfect sense. With that said, what's your prediction for their season?
Who wants to go first?
What, like an overall record, or what?
Yeah.
I'll give him 52-30 and be out in the second round.
I think they come in second in the Atlantic Division behind the Knicks. It's close, and 50 wins is probably about right. And I think they're going to lose in the first round.
Damn, Miles ain't playing.
Right, Fong, what do you think?
Oh, this all depends on what Rose and the Bulls do. But I think they can finish top 3 in the East. I think they could contend for the Eastern Conference Finals, but I'll say they're out in the second round. They're definitely better than the Knicks. I'm not buying this Knicks crap.
Yeah, I don't like the Knicks either.
I don't know what you guys are talking about. Knicks being good. Maybe because I'm a mellow hater, so.
Clearly. I said 49 wins. I do think the Knicks are better than them. I'll get into that when we actually do the Knicks
I
preview.
don't like the Knicks. Man.
Willis is a Bargnani fan.
Oh, always.
It got
always.
worse. The Knicks got worse.
Like I said, I like the Knicks better than this aging, rotting Nets roster. But yeah, I'm gonna go with 49 wins for this upcoming season. I think that's what they won last year, actually.
It is.
So they're probably
They
matched.
only played 81 games because of the. Was it them that played 81 or it was Indiana and Boston? Never mind. Because of the Boston.
Either way,
Boston.
I got them for 49 games.
Yep. I got them for 50.
52.
I'm not sure about that first round exit, but man, yeah, I could see it happening, just like this last postseason.
Yep.
We still have a lot of previews to get you guys. Just stick with us. You're gonna love, everything that we bring to the table. With that said, you can download all of our stuff on our site at HoopSmack.com. You can go to iTunes, Slapdash Radio. If the Zoom Marketplace is still a thing, you can download there. You can email us at 206.hoopsmack@gmail.com. You can call us at 509-795-1858 and leave us a voicemail. You can hit us on Facebook and Twitter. Just search for HoopSmack. We're also on Google+. You can search for HoopSmack there as well. There are many avenues to get in touch with us, so, don't be shy. Definitely hit us up. But I'm C. Will. Peace.
Chill.